Hello, welcome to the next part. Notice I didn't give a number there because I always get the number wrong anyway, so I'll just say welcome to the next part. Anyway, in this part, so stage 13, scale detail. And this is where we get to make the magazine drums for the Lewis gun. And it says to gather all the parts. Well, there's all the parts. Which is Z20 times 2, Z21 times 4, and D19 times 4 to create the port and starboard twin Lewis gun magazine holders. Using the scoring and beveling guide, prepare Z20 for shaping. Fold and glue to create 2 magazine holders. Attach Z21 to D19 and times 4 to create the Lewis gun magazines and cover the edges of each with S54 times 4. There you go. So they're talking about Z20, which is this here. You turn it over and score the back, which I've already done. Okay, so you grab the scoring sheet, you overlay the part there, and you just go over it with using a ruler like this and a pen, and just score it so that you can fold it into shape, which is what we're going to do now. Okay, so we're just going to bend it, bend it, bend it, and bend it. Now I'm going to use some tweezers here because there's such fine bends. I think that using the tweezers will probably be the most pragmatic way of doing this, and try and bend them in such a manner that you get a bend, basically. Okay, something round, and that includes the bottom little bit here, this little lip. And I think you're going to have to use some caution so you don't muck it up. And again, we'll do the little flappy bit first. How about that? There you go. Bend it over like that. Talk amongst yourselves. Right, wrap that around something round. Okay, and then this folds up like that. Okay, and you get that shape there. Now I think it's one of those where you're either going to have to use the foam safe or use the Yoo-hoo glue. I think in this instance we used the foam safe just to make it a little bit quicker, and then you can match yours to mine should that be your intent. I'm just going to get some glue out of this. Come on, get some glue out. What's going on with this? Never happened right before. There you go. There's a bit more of it. I hope I haven't run out. Actually, I have got to go to the model shop for some reason. I try to remember what it is. Oh, I know. Yeah, it's new blades, I think. It's got some in it. Put a bit more off there. Oh, there you go. Right, so fold that around. Like that. quick, as our cousins like to say across the pond. Real quick. So when they say that, it usually isn't. I don't know why. I've watched some YouTube videos with our American cousins, and they seem to spend 3/4 of the video telling you about themselves for some reason. I have absolutely no idea why. So just getting on with it. Anyway, there you go. I'm going to do it real quick. No, you're not. No, you're not. Anyway. Dear. Just hold that there, just let it do its thing, and it works fairly rapidly, I have to admit. Now again, we've lost some ink there, so we will grab the Sharpie pen and just fill that back in. Invisible. Okay, let's let that do its thing. So what we're going to do is repeat it again on here. Be quite interesting to know actually in the comments, anybody who's doing this Microaces model, if they're following on and using this as a guide, what they think. It's not until you sort of make these videos yourself that you realise that making these videos is not that easy, because you're actually doing this in real time, and you know, everybody has their own reasons, but I mean, you know, my reasons for making these videos is that when I was brought up as a child, I couldn't really afford this stuff, and there was nobody there to show you how, and we didn't have all these foamies, everything was all balsa, and nobody had any real tools, and everything's done on a sixpence, and you know, and I wanted to know how some of these modelers were achieving the things that they were achieving. Of course, in those days, you know, these people were usually middle class. Dad's got a bit of money, so he's got a little bit of a workshop, you know. And that, you know, he's probably got a lot more time on their hands, because working class guys were usually working overtime and hadn't got time for the children, etc, etc, etc. And I wanted to know how do they do that? And you pick things up over time, and you thought, well, I'll pass it on because there's some kid out there, or maybe an adult even. Think, how do you do that? How do you go about doing that? And why do you have to do that? Why doesn't this fly? And all these other things. And of course, by the time you're in your autumn years of your life, it's a bit late now, isn't it? You know. So we're just big children, really, who have managed to afford to do these things later in life. And I think it's true for a lot of modelers, is that, you know, you want a plastic kit that flies. That's what you want. You want the Spitfire, the plastic kit Spitfire. You want to be able to fly it. And, you know, for a lot of people, this is a an expensive hobby. But anyway, there you go. Write something in the comments if you wish. So I'll just let those two things just go off. So what's next? Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Put the star of Twin Lewis Guns magazine holders using the scoring leveling guide. Yeah, done that. Attach Z21 to D19. Okay, there we go. So let's cut these out. I have to apologise. I'm doing a little bit of sniffing. It's winter here, and I'm in the workshop, and all I have is a little electric fire. Keep the workshop warmed up, and of course the old nose is dewing up a little bit. Hence the sniffy, and that's why. Of course, if I was a little boy now, my mum would grab me with a great big tissue, not tissue, handkerchief, wiping my nose and treating me like I was a rag doll or something. Right, so create the Lewis Gun magazine, cover the edges of each with S54. So let's get these cut out. Okay. There we are. Hopefully. For those of you who don't know, I've made a DH2 with a larger scale, which you can find on my channel. This was in cooperation with a guy called Cliff Harvey. Hello, Cliff. I'm pretty sure Cliff's watching. I watch his stuff and he watches my stuff, and occasionally we'll take the Michael out of each other because we both got the same sort of sense of humour. And so if you want to build a larger scale of this, just look on Cliff Harvey's YouTube channel or my YouTube channel, and yeah, you can make a big larger scale. I may do another large scale, but put some more detail in it, because actually I think this is quite an interesting aircraft. Not only does it look unusual, you know, there's a lot of background to the DH2. There are fighter pilots who have written their memoirs about flying the DH2, and if I can put my hand on the book, which I probably can, I'll show you a book worth reading about the history of one of the pilots. Started out as a mechanic and ended up winning the VC, I think it was. Learned to fly, and of course, being a mechanic, he could do his own ground crewing because he knew how things worked, unlike most of the other pilots who were upper class, probably didn't even know how to light a fire. But yeah, there you go. I'm trying to remember how he died actually. I think he died flying an SE5A, having spent some time back in the UK as an instructor. Dropped off at the wrong airfield or aerodrome, got some directions, flew over the trees, and I think the engine conked out and down he went more rapidly than he would have liked, I think. Anyway, to create Lewis Gun magazines and cover the edges each with S54, which is this. Dum, 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 dum. So, because we romanticise a lot, I think, about these aircraft, the reality is that, you know, you're open to the elements. It's freezing cold. If the enemy doesn't kill you, the aircraft probably will. And it must have been absolutely terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. Now, where's my Yoo-hoo glue-hoo? There we go. You've signed up, you know, with all your mates. I'm thinking, well, you know, I'll be a dashing pilot. And as I said, if the aircraft isn't trying to kill you, the enemy is. And you're having to go up. You know, these things set on fire in mid-air and all sorts of things. You've got no parachute. And unless you happen to have been flying around the area a lot, you know, navigation is at best difficult. You've got to know where you are. Yeah. Of course, you know, a lot of these people lost their nerve. I don't blame them. I think everybody comes to a certain point. So, there you go. I suppose in those days this would be equivalent of base jumpers, I expect. You know, those people who jump off the side of buildings for fun with a parachute that may or may not open. Yep. There's one thing I could not do. I could not fly in a microlight. You're just too exposed there, and it's, you know, there's nothing to hold on to. It's all flimsy. I have to admit that I have some admiration for those who do. I'm not that brave. As I say in England, sod that for a game of soldiers. So yeah, you have to take your hat off to some of these pilots. They really, really did. I don't think a lot of them realised what they were getting into a lot of the time. They went off to war because their mates were doing it. Of course, the mates don't know either. I mean, if you just think of the average Great War soldier. I asked my dad about this the one time. I said, because my dad was in World War II. And he had a good job. He was working at the Spitfire factory. I said we had 3 square meals a day. He was pinching the petrol. Criminal offence. He was pinching the petrol for his motorbike. Surrounded by women. And I said, why on earth would you give all that up to end up in the desert? And I think it was, his answer was actually, when I think about it now as a sort of grown adult, quite indicative. And he said, well, I wanted to travel, see the world. I don't think it occurred to him he might get killed or lose a limb, you know, like an eye or an arm or a leg. Because when you're young, you're indestructible, aren't you? It's not going to happen to you, it's going to happen to somebody else. You know. But there you are. So I think we need to give these people a lot more, these pilots, a lot more respect than probably what they get. Because bravery really is a case of being afraid but doing it anyway. And that is bravery. That's those 4 done. Now, that's for later. And I believe now we got to, what's it say now? Fold the edges of electrical stickers over the edge of the magazine, then cover the back of each magazine with F53 sticker, which is this here. Okay. And I suspect we're going to need a double glue, because these don't stick all that well. Okay, double glue on that one. Don't need a lot. Anyway, so yeah, put your thoughts in the comments. You know, because knowing what I know as an adult and knowing my history, I think it would have been me, and knowing what I know, there was no way you would have got me in that uniform. And I hope in hell. Ended up sleeping in trenches. Well, they were, say trenches, they were ditches. There were ditches. Little to no sanitation, no clean running water. You know, you can't just go and have a shower when you feel like it. You got rats everywhere. The summer it's boiling hot and you can't go anywhere because you're stuck in this ditch. And during the winter you're half frozen. You know, if you light a fire, the enemy sees the smoke and sends a mortar over or something. You're having to go out there and sleep in it. I'll say, oh, well, we're soft. Yeah, I think we are. I think we are soft in comparison. So, you know, these guys are joined up, they're with their mates. The mates are marching down the road. They all think they're going to find these girls. These French girls are going to be more than a little free with their affections. Don't forget, it's a different era in those days. You know, a lot of them would never have known the company of a female. So a lot of them were trying to get out there and lose their virginity. Some of them did, but of course then you got diseases, which the majority of which are now curable. But in those days there were not. There was no penicillin. That's for sure. So, where are we with this now? Install the magazines into the holders shown above and then attach the magazine assemblies to either side of the fuselage. Note, there should be a faint dotted line to indicate the position of each magazine on the sides of the fuselage. Now, I cannot see the faint dotted line on there, so let's have a look. I suspect they go like that. So just looking at the a little bit back there like that, but then you see, is that going to interfere with this? Oh, can you see that? I don't know. Yeah, so you've got your control rod there, so that's got to be positioned in such a manner it's not going to interfere with that control, so that's to go back a little bit. Yeah, see that's gonna hit that. So what I may do, defer that until I know what the movement of that is, but your drums will look like that. Okay, and what I may do is take the Sharpie pen and go around the edges there, and just to finish them off, and then just pop a little bit of glue in there, stop them falling out. In fact, in this book I was talking about earlier, the pilot was on about, you tried to loop the loop, didn't realise these magazines were loose, come out the holder and straight into the propeller. Brought him down. So, you know, there you go. So as I said, I'll just bring that up a little bit just so I can doubly explain. So what I'm trying to say to you is that if I glue that in place now, yeah, put that there now, and I don't know what's happening with that arm, that might hinder the movement of that arm. Okay, so what I might do is leave this right to the death and then put the one, because I know where that's going to move to, if they move at all. So I will conclude this now, and I've done enough rubbish talking, and then we'll come back to that, I think, and I'll put these safely away to one side. So you know the score. Give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe. You don't need to buy coffee, tea, cakes, or any beer or any sort of consumables. It's all totally free. Just ask you to give it the thumbs up, a like and subscribe. It helps everything, and you're getting it all free of charge, and you know, some people might be glad of it. So there you go, and I'll see you in the next part, which may be 22, I think, as a guess, and I'll see you then.
Subscribe!